Hello there everyone, it's Aidan here from Push Square. So we're quite some time into 2022, and one of the biggest releases remaining this side of the year is Gotham Knights. This is the first AAA Batman game that we've had since 2015. Let that sink in that Arkham Knight came out 7 years ago. Now, no offense to Batman VR and the Telltale series, I'm a big fan of both of those, but sometimes you just want to take to the streets and fight crime on your own. Now, Gotham Knights was among my most anticipated. It then fell drastically off that list when I saw some of the gameplay, and then it's been steadily working its way back up as I learned more about it. And I think that is key for this release because there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of mixed messages considering what type of game this even is. But I am here to set the record straight with 42 facts about Gotham Knights so that you know what you're getting into when you don the cowl once more. Let's serve up some justice. So first up we have release date, platforms and editions. Gotham Knights is set to release on October 25th, 2022. It's being developed by Warner Bros. Games Montreal, the team behind Arkham Origins, a very underrated Batman game if you ask me. While initially scheduled to come to both PlayStation 4 and 5, the last gen release was entirely cancelled, making this a current gen exclusive. There will be 3 editions available to purchase on release: the Standard, Digital Deluxe and Collector's Edition. The Digital Deluxe will come with skins, emotes, boosted gear and additional salvage, whereas the Collector's Edition will come with an augmented reality talon key, a 16-page media book, exclusive skins, a Gotham City map, and a 4-character statue. These editions come in at $70, $90 and $300 respectively. Now on to details about the actual game. Gotham Knights is an open world action game very akin to the Arkham series with main missions, side quests and collectibles and encounters sprinkled across its world. However, it also introduces a healthy dose of RPG elements to differentiate it from the previous games. That means that despite really looking like one, Gotham Knights isn't actually a live service game. It's a fully completable game with no components nudging you to spend additional funds within it. However, there are online components to it, as the entire game, start to finish, is playable in drop-in, drop-out 2-player co-op. If that isn't quite your thing, then you can play the whole game solo, and you won't even have to be online to do so either. Rumours did surface a few months back suggesting that the co-op was being expanded to allow for full 4-player co-op in the main game. However, those rumours have since been debunked. WB Games Montreal see this as the start of a new franchise within the DC Batman universe and have designed it with room to grow, which could mean story DLC, but it could mean entire sequels. So on to some details about the world and story. Very quickly we have to establish the fact that this isn't actually a Batman game. Quite the opposite in fact, because Batman is dead. If you're out there scratching your chin questioning whether you did in fact beat Arkham Knights with Batman very much still alive, you are not mistaken. Gotham Knights is set in an alternate universe where Batman and even Jim Gordon have died. However, of course, there are very similar aspects to both of these universes, as for example they all keep the same character designs. So without the threat of the Dark Knight looming over the city, some of Gotham's finest are emerging from the shadows to wreak havoc once more. That means that yes, of course, the game will be set in Gotham City, and WB Montreal claimed that it will be the biggest version of Gotham ever represented in a video game. And it's said that you will also be able to see Gotham's history through the environmental design. And that is because WB Montreal has established a 400-year history throughout the 5 distinct boroughs of Gotham, each of which is influenced by the 5 founding families of the city: the Waynes, the Cobblepots, the Elliots, the Arkhams, and the Kanes. And you must fight to win back each of these boroughs after they are conquered by various iconic villains from the series. These villains will include the likes of Penguin and Mr. Freeze, but it looks like the primary antagonistic force are the Court of Owls, a secret society formed by the wealthiest families in the city who have been running the organised crime scene in Gotham for decades. Don't get your hopes up if you're expecting Joker to make an appearance, as WB Games Montreal claimed that the Clown Prince will not appear in Gotham Knights after criticism from the previous Arkham games that he was always stealing the limelight. WB did however hint that Harley Quinn could make an appearance. The major Burrow villains will require multi-mission storylines to be completed before they are taken down. During that time, environmental changes to that Burrow will remain in place, like we saw with Mr. Freeze in that gameplay reveal. The central story will be fully original, drawing inspiration and even new interpretations on the infamous Batman lore, but we know that the Court of Owls, of course, will be at the heart of it. Amidst the chaos brought on by Batman's death, the Gotham Knights must step up to the plate. They are a team of 4, all trained under Batman, and they must deal with both the loss of their mentor and the greatest threat that Gotham has ever faced. So on to the main 4 themselves. The Gotham Knights consist of Batgirl, Nightwing, Red Hood and Robin, all of which are playable characters. Each character will have their own leveling system and upgrade paths with their own fighting styles as well. However, there will be a familiarness across the board because each of these characters trained under Batman. Batgirl is Barbara Gordon, Jim Gordon's daughter, who is fighting crime after years of pain, surgery and rehabilitation from a spinal injury. Her signature weapon is a tonfa, brilliant for close quarters combat, and she's the most technically savvy of the Knights after her time as Oracle, a character we may recognise from the Arkham games. Nightwing, or Dick Grayson, was Batman's first protege before becoming a hero in his own right, and is the natural leader of the Knights. Nightwing prefers a far more acrobatic style of fighting, and is particularly fond of his dual eskrima sticks. Tim Drake is up next, aka Robin, who is the youngest and stealthiest of the Knights. He is said to be fully motivated to carry out Batman's mission, no matter the personal price. Robin uses his collapsible quarterstaff as his signature weapon, but he also makes use of Justice League teleportation tech and even invisibility cloaks. So last but not least, we have Red Hood, otherwise known as Jason Todd. Red Hood has actually been brought back from the dead here, and with that, he's picked up some supernatural abilities. He's also the most brutal of the Knights, having only recently converted to Batman's non-lethal combat methods. However, his dual pistols still pack a nasty punch, even with those rubber bullets. So when in co-op, players are going to be able to mix and match the Knights to try and find the best collaborative builds. You can even pull off awesome 2-player finishers, and if you both fancy improving your Robin build, for example, you won't need to fight over him, because you can both play as the same character at the same time. So moving on to that progression system, Gotham Knights will have a big emphasis on gear stats, possibly leading to the confusion over whether the game was live service or not. Each character will have suit, melee and ranged elements to upgrade and customize. A piece of suit gear, for example, will be ranked in its rarity, level, power, armor, health, and if it has it, elemental, momentum, and conditional stats. That's the likes of your poison resistance or freeze damage. Mod slots will also be available for pieces of gear to further customize the playstyle of your hero, and it looks like these mods will be crafted with resources you collect in the field. Each hero will have their own skill tree to progress through, however, you aren't going to get one character to max stats and then have to restart with another. All characters share a form of progression together, so while one may be more powerful because you're putting a bit more time into them, the others won't be lagging too far behind as they are also climbing alongside you. You'll do a lot of your character customization in the Belfry, which acts as the base of operations for the Knights, since the Batcave was destroyed upon Batman's death. This area gives you the opportunity to select missions and challenges and even interact with some of the other Knights. It's also a break from the constant darkness, as heading to the Belfry will end your nightly patrols and advance you into the next day. Now, you've probably seen a few suits during this video so far, and know that there will be 11 suits per character available on launch, so that's 44 in total if my maths is correct. WB Montreal hired artists from around the world to create the suit design, and one of them was famed comic book artist Jim Lee, who is responsible for art in runs like Batman Hush and the New 52 Justice League. Suits are customizable, but only within a limited preset. Each suit will have the option for cowl, logo, gauntlet and boot changes to be made, but we are talking a fully covered mask, then a hood and things like that. You'll also have colorways which can alter the color of your suit. Suits and gear are separate entities that don't influence one another, very similar to how the gear system works in Marvel's Avengers. However, some suits will come with their own boosts, and if you like the look of one suit but prefer the perk on another, you can transmog one suit's abilities into another style. As you level up, the game will level up with you, creating appropriately difficult enemies when you go around the world. Now, as a light RPG, missions themselves will have levels, but you aren't required to meet that level before you can access it. So in that case, side missions aren't actually necessary, but recommended, and I reckon you would have a really difficult time beating missions if you were severely underleveled. So that also means though that there is no level gating in the open world, like is the case for other open world titles like Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So from the very start of the game, you can go wherever you please. And while you explore the world, you'll be facing off against the Talons for the most part, the army working for the Court of Owls, but along with them you will also have your basic Gotham goons and more powerful enemies like brutes with shields and heavy hitting weapons. Interestingly, if you were to face the same boss at level 1 like Mr. Freeze and then go back and play it again with a friend at level 9, the boss will incorporate new movesets, so higher level bosses aren't just bigger health bars, they also evolve with the player. And speaking of replaying with friends, you are able to visit missions again by joining a friend's game. And if you're playing a mission for the first time with a friend, you also have the option to skip that mission when playing back on your server. You'll be able to keep any gear and progression you've made in another player's game and take any you've made in your own into theirs. Your progression will carry over no matter where you're playing. And lastly, there's been no confirmations that levels will scale if you join a player with a higher level. However, I would be surprised if this wasn't included. And that is everything you need to know about Gotham Knights. Let me know down below if there was anything that I missed, and of course, I want to hear your thoughts on this game. As I said, I was really excited, I fell off the bandwagon and now I'm creeping back on it. But anyway guys, thank you for watching. Remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more PlayStation based content like this.